You cussed and swore at it? All right. So, what kind of video is this, dear? Tell me what kind of video this is, and I'm going to tell you why it's not, because I know what you're going to say.
It's a bitchy mode. Complain.
Why is it a bitchy mode? Complain.
I don't know.
Come on, you miserable.
Complain. Bitch.
Well, it's not, because this thing cost over $12,000, right?
Was it that much, this shit?
Yes.
Okay, then go ahead.
So, I've had this thing for a couple of years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's about 41 years old. She's about 5'4". She weighs 100 and how many pounds?
110.4, mind you.
Yeah.
I hit my goal.
And it's been mighty damned expensive. But I'm not talking about this little package right here, because I didn't pay anything for that. That's an ongoing expense.
Shut up. You know what?
It is, isn't it?
I'm actually not expensive. I'm cheap.
Cheap?
Mm.
Yeah, she polishes up pretty good. But yeah, I'll give her that. She's pretty cheap. All right, so what I'm going to complain about is this rake that I love so much, the job that it does. But if you see, it's kind of at a weird angle here. So this is the H&S 3112. Let's see, 3112 H&S Action Rake. Do you remember what year I bought this? I've only had this thing like 3 years, right? 4 years.
2011?
Not 2011.
No, 2020, 2021.
2021. I think you're right. It was 2021.
Yeah, because I remember taxes filed. Yeah,
2021. Okay, first out of the gate in 2021, I didn't make it through the year, and both of these arms broke off. This one here, right here, and this right over here. Don't mind the bird shit welds, because what I ended up doing was cutting it off, sliding a piece of steel in. I think Grant is the one that welded that up. I don't think I did. Tim might have. I don't know. I know I didn't do that, didn't repair it. So that was what happened first off. It wasn't even a year, it wasn't even a season old, right? It was the first season. And I didn't even get it at the beginning of the season. That's the crazy thing. It was like partially in. So they replaced these arms and put brand new ones on, like right away when they got them, and they put them on. No big deal, right? As you can see, that they broke again later, and I'm just not happy with the way they built those. So, okay, on to the next bit of horse shit that happened to it. The wheels, these here, they broke off. I ended up, you can see there, I welded them up. Welded those all up. There's welds all over this thing, by the way. I had to, because the bolts kept breaking out. I ended up drilling those out and putting bigger bolts in, because they just wouldn't hold. So that's what happened there. They just kept breaking off. Then that broke. What the hell else was it? Oh, these, for some reason, these reaches here, this is mine. This is a piece of black pipe that I bought. I had Grant cut the original pipe, which is red like that one over there, and that fits inside here somewhat. You just cut them so that they slide down in, you smack them in with a hammer, and that's black pipe. So I had him put that on there, and that seems to alleviate that problem. That is one of the other things that's wrong with it. Now, if you see it on this kind of weird angle here, that hitch up there, the hitch, doesn't go all the way to the back here. It just doesn't, right? That stupid thing stops right there. Right there, where this cylinder is. And it has now broke loose. Grant had welded this all up here the other day because it was cracked there, cracked here, and now it looks like this because it just totally buckled in, because It's really just a piece of shit rake. And I'm going to tell you why. You ready to hear why? You want to know why, or are you on your phone?
Why?
Come here and hold this camera, because you know what? You're sitting there with your phone. You are addicted. You are stuck on the blue screen.
I'm looking on the recipe.
You're not even looking at One Lonely Farmer videos, are you? You should at least look at One Lonely Farmer videos. You know, that at least then it'd be educational and smart. Back up a little bit. Don't crowd me so much. And
what's there green thing in it?
that's my...
Oh,
Hello. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? Yeah. Anyway, so that broke. These little bolts that hold these pins in, they break. The pins slide out. This arm gets all screwed up. And now that that's all collapsed. So why did it collapse? Well, I'm going to tell you why. These are built heavier up here. This is heavier.
Okay.
It's got springs. It's got a little bit more to this,
Right.
which makes it heavy. All right. So when they put more weight on here, they didn't add enough. These weren't heavy enough, but everything else here was built heavier, bigger, badder, heavier. You can see this one here, we've welded a washer on, which increases the strength of this tube by about 40%, 30-40% by capping that off. Well, what happens with these is they actually crack off and break. Yeah. The arms do. We've had all kinds of problems with this rake from new. So I think we did that on a couple of them. Anyways, they added the weight to here because it's just heavier. There's more to these than the old 1221 or 2112. This is a 3112. The other one's a AR12, Action Rake 12, AR12. So this is an Action Rake 3112, and they replaced the AR12 with the 2112. Everything below this, where all that weight's hanging on, is the same as the lighter AR12.
Why would they do that? They didn't.
Because they're already making this, right? So when you're already making the bottom end and you just want to make a better performing rake, yeah, you just, okay, this is good enough for the AR12 or the 2112, but we'll just strap 3112 stuff to it because it's heavier and it'll actually do a better job. Now, don't get me wrong, this is the best rake I've ever owned for sweep and clean. Just does the best job. It does a better job than any of the other rakes that I've ever had. The Peckway did a really good job on second cut. This did a great job on everything. The problem is you just can't keep it together. And I mean, it is now, to me, it is now just a piece of scrap iron. I don't know what in the hell to do with it, because I'm not going to go ahead and buy a whole new tongue for it, because I guarantee you that's going to be a couple $1,000s. So if I put a couple $1,000s into the bottom end, I'm just throwing good money after bad, because that's broke. You come over here, and when that pin came out on the other side, it actually broke this arm, because this arm was never any heavier. Will you adjust that thing so it's straight on? And anyways, it broke the arm. You can see where he had welded it on the inside. So what am I going to do? I've got two of the AR or Action rakes. I have a 2112 and an AR12. And I guess that's what I've got. And I'm going to have to use those. This thing here, I'm just going to part it out. I'm just going to part it out and use the parts for that rake over, you know, from this rake to that one. I got tires, I've got cylinders, I've got braces, I've got all kinds of stuff, but I'm actually going to miss the rake, because everybody that has run this rake has loved this rake. It just works that much better. So with the regular AR12s or the 2112, they have one arm here that pivots like this, whereas this is individual. So that's why there's more weight up here. It doesn't seem like there's really much more weight, but this pipe here, these springs, the added arm, because now there's 6 arms instead of 3.
Why didn't you have a plan to make your own rake?
You know, I'll tell you what, I really do. And I'm really disappointed that, I'm really, 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 truly disappointed that this rake did this. And what I know about these rakes, I like this.
Yeah.
I like this. What I don't like about this, you want to know what I really dislike about this? Is, well, a couple of things here. Because, here, let me have the camera and I'll show you. Because right here, I got to get you straight because you're not straight. You're like crooked as Asian eyes. Right here, you see this? That's broke out. That's why that's capped. So they made this to be heavier, but it's not heavier. It's not heavy enough. Don't do that. You're going to break the camera. Do I zoom out and get your whole body?
No!
Like this? Okay. So, you know, I did have plans of, here, take that. I did have plans of making my own rake. These rakes are pull type rakes. Mm-hmm. If you don't know what I mean, it's when this thing unfolds, the hay is pushed on the drug side of it.
Right.
So it's pulled and it rolls, and then you can snag here hay. If you get into heavy windrows, you can snag here. And it just, when you get into really heavy windrows, these will plug up. Yeah. So the ideal rake is to actually have pusher. And it's the same wheel, it makes no difference. It's just, instead of this arm being on the outside, you would have it, instead of having that arm on the inside, you would have it on the outside. So these arms would come out, and then you would have to run, you know, like from here, then you would have to run 2 angle braces back to here so that it will push instead of pull. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you want that hay pushing on the face of this. Those are what the high capacity rakes are. They push on those things, and then you're just much higher capacity. This particular rake could handle anything we threw at it. It always did. It's just at the point now that you can't get through a day. We can't get through a day with this piece of shit. So H&S could do a lot better. I know there's a lot of people that say, oh, well, you bought a cheap rake. What do you expect? Well, I expect to be able to get more than 2 years out of 2 reliable years. I didn't get 1 reliable year. You know, with the AR rakes or the 2130, the 2112, generally 2 years before I'm replacing teeth on the wheels. Yeah. I didn't have any issues with those things. And then later, it was the arms, the pivot arms. Those would break out. But for a couple $100 a piece, so what? You bought them and you put them on. It was a cheap rake. It was a $7,000 rake. This was a $12,000 rake. This one, it's just not. It just wasn't worth it, because now it's just total junk. I don't know. So to build a new rake, or to build a rake from scratch, I could do it. Oh, I could do it, and I could make a really good one.
I think you should make one.
I could, and I probably will.
And patent it.
The problem with that, then you get into manufacturing. And the problem with a rake that doesn't break is you only ever sell one, right? So you sell one rake. You can sell parts. You're not going to sell many parts because you're going to build it so it doesn't break. Like this tube steel. The tube steel for these arms, it looks like it's 3/16. I would make those out of heavy wall pipe and have them custom cut, you know, custom bent. But custom bent and welded and do what I needed to do. I would figure something out. Yeah. You know, but this is just flat out stupid and ridiculous, and I'm just disheartened. I mean, literally, this is its 4th season, right? 4th season, and it broke last year, sat in a field for a month. Last August, it sat in a field for a month until I could weld it up enough to get it home. Mm-hmm. It sat down in the first year. The second year before last, it was busted. Where in the hell was it? It was stuck someplace. This thing has just been, since new, I haven't gotten a season out of it. But the wheels are the same as on the ARs, so I can take all the wheels off and use them elsewhere. The hubs that go on there, the bearings and the hubs, because they do get wrapped up with vines and barbed wire, of all things, is on that one.
I see that.
Bale and twine, these pick up bale and twine and it wraps them up. So there's a lot of parts. I mean, there's 150, 150, 100, so 150 is 3, 6, 9. There's $1,800 in wheels right here. So these tires, 150 bucks a piece. So there's 300 there. I've got 20, like over 2 grand in bits and pieces. These cylinders now, they're a couple $100 a piece now. That stupid little cylinder in there, they all will work on the other rakes. These arms, even though this one here is, that one's beat up, this one here is good. Yeah, this one's good. This part is good. To be honest with you, this part is good. It's the tongue that's junk from there. So if I have one of the ARs, if it breaks in the back, they actually fixed the splitting part right here. They actually made that.
Okay.
I made a bridge, but they actually fixed that. So that's fixed. What else was there? There's just so many little things that just the hydraulic hoses too. I mean, hydraulic hoses, there's probably $500-600 in hydraulic hoses, if not more than that, on this rake that will go onto the other rake. So probably what I'll do is I'll strip everything off of it, pull it apart, save that back axle, save the everything else, and save anything that's any value. Because this here is even the same. This and this, these are 2 different pieces. They're the same as the AR-12. This is different. This does not pivot because these are floating. They don't have to pivot both ways. So there's a knuckle that is on the other one that's different than this. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, you spend all this money and you get fucked. I mean, you get fucked. And who's going to buy this thing? You know, if I fix this and I go to sell it, because I would get rid of this. This would be great for somebody who does 50 acres a year, 100 acres a year, not 1,000 acres. You know, 50, 100 acres. So what am I going to do? I'm going to spend $2,000-3,000 on a tongue. It's beat up, and I can turn around and sell it for $6,000. And in good faith, I can't tell somebody, hey, yeah, it was a great rake. I can't, because it's not. Like, yeah, it did a good job of raking, but the reality is it just has no longevity. So that's my rant for today. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So am I bitching? That really wasn't a bitch. But all I can say is if you're going to buy a rake, a mid-capacity rake, or one of these carted rakes, buy the 2112. Don't buy a 3112. 3112 looks awesome, but it's not. 2112, they're ancient technology.
They're cheaper.
They're cheaper. They do work. I'm going to see if I can find a used one somewhere for a few $1,000, and maybe I'll go replace this with one of those, because this thing here is just shit. I like to have 3 of those rakes, because if I have 3, one goes down, I got another one. Somebody can go and hook up to it. If I got 3 people that can rake, then 3 people can be raking, 2 people can be baling, and life goes a lot easier. But for the most part, it's usually 1 or 2 people raking, and 2 people baling, and 1 guy stacking. And the hay business is, I don't know. It doesn't warrant me going out and buying a brand new hay rake, I can tell you that. You know, it would. I wish it would, you know, but who knows. Anyway, with that being said, have a nice day, right? Have a nice day.